I have been motivated to uproot the common problem in humanity's analysis of intelligence for a while now. I believe the IQ test to be very unfair, and then results are poorly judged and misinterpreted to a limiting view afterwards regarding the nature of intelligence. Sam Harris and Charles Murray make many mistakes in their interpretation of limited data of capabilities and then assign it to cultural identification based on those intelligence tests. Intuitively, I know this to be a way of not seeing the whole picture when it comes to intelligence. Many IQ tests that you take during school as a child to determine your future do not take into consideration of the multiple layers of intelligence souls really have and what makes them all so unique. I know from personal experience as a teacher I have seen different degrees of intelligence found in children as well as adults around me. For an example, I myself am not the best with complicated equations and numbers that can be found in theoretical mathematics, but I score very high in the area of reading comprehension and understanding deeper contextual meaning of the author's often hidden intent. Dr. Howard Gardner, a psychologist from Harvard University, intuitively tapped into the universal consciousness of his collective when he came up with his list of multiple intelligence in 1983 to shake up the idea of only one type of intelligence. This is why it's unwise to call anybody unintelligent as a whole. Because I understand that even if I can't see a display of intelligence in the subject a person is talking or testing about at that moment in time of experience, I do not know their other capabilities unless I test all 8 of them. It is even seen in autistic children and others with cognitive delays who can't speak or even add in simple math that they have exceptional talent in the arts and creating things with beautiful geometric patterns, creating wonderful images that they see in their mind's eye. John Coffey, from one of my favorite books, The Green Mile, written by Stephen King, reminds me of this ability of immense intrapersonal and interpersonal skills, but lacks in other areas, like he cannot even spell his name or write it down correctly with shaking uncoordinated fingers, making him look like a big, illiterate giant. Yet he turns out to be one of the wisest and kindest beings ever to be on Earth for a short while. Myth often reflects reality, and I've met many John Coffey types in my own life. Here is a list of the multiple intelligences that you may recognize as the elves having in Tolkien's world of Arda. It's important to know that as I go through the examples of elves, demonstrating all levels of intelligences achieved in one being, that this reflects the potential that many humans have in the present time and future of the species. Number 1. Musical, rhythmic, and harmonic intelligences. Tolkien described the elves as the firstborn people on Arda. All they knew how to do at first was sing under the stars where they awoken by the waters of Covenian, and therefore they were named the Quendi, for those who speak and sing. Elves are known to be able to sing, play instruments, dance, and generally flow in coordination with the natural rhythms. During the special times of celebration, Tolkien describes the elves as always feasting, singing together, and dancing on the moon or sun depending on the certain festival. It's clear Tolkien wanted to show elves had this ability to varying degree of one another, with Luthien having the most powerful voice of elves to defeat darkness even with it, but all knew how to sing, play instruments, or at least dance with rhythm. Number 2. Visual spatial intelligence. This area deals with spatial judgment and the ability to visualize with the mind's eye. If someone has this form of intelligence, it means they're good with being aware of the physical space around them. This area is high in visual artists, digital designers, crafters, artisans, and architects, and anyone else who creates something outside in the material world from an idea that is born first in their mind. Elves are known to be alert and aware of everything around them by their heightened sensory ability and clarity of environment around. Tolkien was trying to show this ability of looking into the far horizon and getting clear images of things hard to see at that normal perception. When Aragorn asked Legolas, "What do your elf eyes see?" this is relating to this ability, since from this space of using this mind, You can visualize a 3D world in the mind and be aware of it around you. Looking at heights, lengths, and widths form clear images in the mind and helps you recognize what you're looking at faster. You can avoid accidents, gauge how close you are to coming close to something, aim at a target with precision from here. This is what makes the elves excellent archers and fighters, knowing exactly where their opponent will be and move next. They design beautiful elven weapons from this place of intelligence, forming perfectly an enchanted weapon to protect others, born from the thought in their mind and having the ability to make real what they visualize with their hands. Number 3. Verbal linguistic intelligence. This type of intelligence displays a higher use of words and languages. They are typically good at reading, writing, telling stories, and memorizing words from a song or poem. Elves are known in this way to be great with language, not only knowing their own Elvish in Sindarin or Quenya, but also being able to speak the language of other beings on Middle Earth. Elrond can speak Dwarvish languages and read moon runes. Elves can speak in a poetic way and seem to express themselves always very elegantly to others. They say what they mean and mean what they say. Tolkien suggests with this ability they also have the power to invoke certain energies with their words, such as when Arwen in the movies and Elrond in the book cause the waters to raise into horse shapes to symbolize Ulmos, the water Valar energies, turn into water horses to wash away the wraiths. Number 4. Logical mathematical intelligence. This area has to do with logic, abstractions, reasoning, numbers, and critical thinking. Although we don't see the elves necessarily doing mathematics in Lord of the Rings, it is suggested many times they are very logical beings. They don't make rash decisions based solely on emotions, but rather work from a balance of them. Elrond and Galadriel can often be seen as the voice of logic in the White Council, which is why Gandalf the Wizard often goes there for deeper insight on what to do next on his journey. The elves move from a place with their decisions from reflection on cause and effect. Therefore, by the Third Age, they rarely do anything without thinking it over first. This is why the elves did not want to join the fight against Sauron at first, but then later decided it was their fight as well. They first had to process the information to see if logically it was a good idea to help Middle-earth, or leave them to their own fate. Ultimately, Tolkien showed duty and a sense of guardianship overruled their logic that may keep them more reserved in their decision. So they decided to stay and fight. Number 5. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence. This intelligence is the ability to be fully in control of one's bodily motions and the capacity to handle objects skillfully. Gardner elaborates to show that this also includes a sense of timing, a clear sense of the goal of a physical action, along with the ability to train responses. As we are invited to learn, the elves are skilled fighters in the land of the Lord of the Rings, and quick on their feet. They are swift to move away from their opponents and run quickly through the forest without breaking a branch. They understand their bodies fully and are in good control of them. You don't see the elves being clumsy and uncoordinated, falling randomly, tripping over a rock. But this is what this intelligence can help with. As you feel one part of your body start to fall, you can use another part of your body to maneuver yourself to catch yourself before you actually do. Much like the movements of a cat, as they usually always land on their feet by controlling their body so that they do. Elves are flexible and can move in this way, being good at many different physical activities. Number 6. Interpersonal intelligence. According to Gardner, those with high interpersonal intelligence communicate effectively and empathize easily with others, and may be either leaders or good followers and team players. They often enjoy discussion and debate, and they know how to work with others or bring people together on a shared idea. Tolkien wrote in the very beginning that elves were born from the musical harmony of Eru Ilúvatar. These were beings from the harmony side of Ea, the universe. Therefore, the elves had a natural tendency to know how to unite things rather than pull them apart, and cause discord and division on Arda. You see this in the Third Age more, after they become wiser from the corruption of their people in the First and Second Age by Melkor, the Anur of Discord. Ultimately, the elves strived more for harmony than war, and this is evidenced in that they always had the ability to take over Middle-earth if they wanted to, but they had no desire to rule, only to counsel, guard all good life forms, and watch over the earthly elements on Arda. Legolas was the first to make the move towards friendship to the dwarf Gimli, moving from the place of harmony from within. Number 7. Naturalistic intelligence. This area has to do with nurturing and relating information to one's natural surroundings. Examples include classifying natural forms such as animals and plant species. This ability was clearly of value in our evolutionary past as hunters and gatherers and farmers, and it continues to be central in today's roles as botanists, environmentalists, and horticulturists. Tolkien himself had this ability as well, and loved nature, being able to describe in many sentences the natural scenery he was looking at. He was known to be a green thumb, and have a greenhouse himself with many plants and herbs. His elves in the books are remnants of the elemental fairy in folklore to be the guardians of the natural world. They hold the wisdom to heal others, knowing what plants and herbs to use for what ailment. In this way, they are much like white witches with their knowledge of white magic, where they can use nature to heal themselves and others. They are bound to the natural world of Arda, till they decide to sail away to the Undying Lands on their own when their time has come. Number 8. Intrapersonal intelligence. According to Gardner, this area has to do with introspective and self-reflective capabilities. This refers to having a deep understanding of oneself, what one's strengths or weaknesses are, and what makes one unique, being able to predict one's own reactions or emotions. I would say this is the area that is in control of the self and acts as sovereign over your own desires and emotions. From here, you keep yourself in control of your actions in society to not harm others. When this area is truly cultivated, you live a peaceful life and don't need to be governed by others or taught what is wrong and what is right. You simply understand yourself and know how to behave that works in alignment to achieve the inner happiness you wish to experience. Elves do not run around harming one another like Gollum, for example. Gollum's character of Smeagol showed this lack of control. After he desired the ring and killed his friend for it, he used it to be invisible and steal and play mischievous tricks on his village, till they kicked him out. This is not the behavior of a being with good intrapersonal understanding of themselves. It is the reason why the elves were able to resist the urge for power and control and hide the rings away, keeping them safe. Galadriel was tempted for a short time when Frodo offered her the ring to become an even more powerful guardian, but quickly remembered herself very fast to give it back to Frodo and not destroy his mission for her desires. This is the place of intelligence that, when overly developed, leads to reaching enlightenment. Elves having the ability to know when to leave from Middle-earth and when to stay shows the deeper investigations into their own souls. Galadriel, Elrond, and Celeborn remain on Arda till Frodo is finished. They understand the task at hand, and that they are not done with being guardians of Middle-earth until the ring is destroyed and all life is safe on Middle-earth forever. It is important to say that spirituality and religion emanate from this place. To develop a deep connection to the divine, higher angelic powers within the self means you have taken time to examine deep inside and go beyond just the ego identity. Meditation and conscious prayer comes from this place of intelligence. Intuition even comes from here, allowing you to make good decisions that align to what your soul needs to be at peace. And also good intention when working with magic comes from this place and this higher realm of intelligence. How many do you recognize with yourself? Is it one intelligence, or is it many that you have? All of these intelligences are something that you are born with, but also can be cultivated and increased with practice. Some souls simply have one area they truly excel in, and that is okay too. Some people may only come to Earth to experience themselves as having a large amount of fame from being recognized for this area, such as a famous singer, or a world renowned writer, or a basketball player. But I believe that Tolkien, being the visionary he was writing about a possible being that are the elven folk, that incorporated all of the intelligences in one single body in one lifetime. It makes a jack of all trades or a Renaissance figure to be able to excel in many areas of life. Sometimes it is ridiculed and thought that being a jack of all trades makes you a master of none. But I disagree, because when I think of the elves and the way other beings like the hobbits saw them and looked up to them as, they were seen as the masters in a very real way, masters of Middle-earth, and over themselves as sovereign beings. This is evidence on Earth too, where we see someone with many talents. It is awe-inspiring and motivates to discover how many you may have too. As an Elven teacher, I believe everyone with enough sincere efforts can increase their intelligence in these areas they wish to focus more on. Much like how magic works to create a more powerful version of yourself. With intentions and actions, you can achieve increasing your ability in any of these areas. But it is also important to know that diversity is what makes this earth a beautiful place and interesting to experience. If we were all alike, and all like elves, well, I believe that there would be nothing more for a species to do than to fade away beautifully into the undying lands, and we may reach the end of this species after many years of total utopia, living in peace and harmony. Many higher dimensional societies on other planets do function from this place of existence, but they are almost living as a hive mind or light body states to be good at everything all at once. Because the more intelligences that you have, the closer you are to being one with Prime Source that holds all knowledge and all potential within.